Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, Fully Committed.
And all of my ability, I'm fully committed to your will and to your way. I'll make the sacrifice to do what you ask of me. And I can never repay what you did just for me. That's the least I can do. I give my love, fully committed to you. Ooh, I give my love, fully committed to you. Yeah. Every passing minute and every hour of the day and every situation and every bit of attention I pay, I'm fully committed to your will and to your way. I'll make the sacrifice to do what you ask of me. Yes. My love for you is forever. Yeah, yeah. Yahweh, you're all that I need, and I can never repay what you did just for me. That's the least I can do. I'm giving you my heart, giving you my all. Yes, Yahweh. I give my love, fully committed to you.
And for the rest of my life, I'm fully
committed.
my mind, my heart, every part of me. Yeah, I'm fully
committed. Ooh, so I say yes.
yeah.
I'll say yes.
Yeah.
I'll say
The oracles of the UCI, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Today's sermon is entitled The Inheritance of the Just. And when you deal with inheritance, you'll find that it brings out some really strange things in people when it comes down to receiving inheritance. When you deal with some, they want the inheritance before time, so then they squander it and use it in the wrong way, to the fact that they then become servants to the nations because they have squandered their inheritance. The whole thing about receiving your inheritance is you have to be in a spiritual mindset to be able to receive that. So when you find someone that they end up getting some inheritance from, their parents that passed, and these people may not be but 19, 20 years old, they blow that money within a year and a half time. Why? Because their mental state was not ready to receive their inheritance. Although they were ready to spend it. They were ready to go out and have some fun. So they believed that, hey, I am of age. But they were not of the spiritual age of maturity, knowing that, hey, this is not going to last forever. I cannot go out here and blow my inheritance just because it is right here in front of me. But you also have those situations that happen spiritually. When my elder was sick, and he was beginning to pass away, you found all of these people that just start showing up, people who had been gone for years, and even those who had been there for years but had not, they didn't redeem the time, so to speak. So they were not around where we might have a situation where we cleaning the camp. We might be up there for hours. They were never there for any of those sessions. Well, we might be hanging out after class, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They were never there for that. But then when he got ready to pass away, they began hanging around like they were going to get some kind of spiritual gift, like what happened during the time of Yaakov, like something was going to be handed down to them. So the inheritance brings out the best and the worst in people. And what we have to deal with and why we have so much hatred here on the earth is not about color. It is about who we are and the inheritance that was given unto us. And the rest of the sons. And that this doesn't mean that they're not sons. You know, and that's the thing that we don't really deal with. You know, we want to believe that, you know, it's the outside heathen that have a problem with our inheritance. No, if you sit down at a will reading, you're going to find half the family is mad at another part of the family because they didn't get the inheritance that the other family member was going to get. So now they spend 20 years rolling their eyes at them. You get to the point where their kids don't like their kids, and the kids don't even understand why, because they were taught not to like the other kid because the mama didn't like the other mama because this mama got a part of the inheritance that this mama didn't get. Well, when you examine what's happening, what was given unto Israel, you have to understand why the nations have a situation with you, why the nations have a problem with you. It is because of the inheritance that was given unto you. Now, they get a part of that inheritance, but you know, people, it's not enough that they get a part of inheritance. They want the bulk of the inheritance. And to prove that, all you have to do is watch these people who win the lottery, and they give their family some money, and their family right back at their door saying, you can afford to give me more than that. So you have to understand that even in receiving inheritance, there is a job and a weight that is placed upon you in receiving it. Let's begin today's sermon in Romans chapter 9, and we're going to read verses 1 through 5. We have to remember what is written. It says, the meek shall inherit the earth. And it says Moshe was the meekest man on the earth. And we have to make sure that we don't think in our minds that meek means weak. Moshe was far from weak. To have to deal with Israel in a multitude and all of them blaming you for everything that went wrong in their lives. They decided to eat the manna, but they gonna blame you. They decided to go out and pick it when they wasn't supposed to pick it, but they gonna blame you for what happens after they get judged for doing what they were told not to do. Somehow it's still your fault. This is the manner of Israel. This is how Israel operates. You need to know, this is not heathens. This is your people. And we ain't changed, we're the same. Instead of dealing with what we didn't do, what job we were given and how we did not fully do that job, we're going to blame everybody else. And if you don't believe me, go on your job. Find the one brother who arguing in the break room by the water cooler. It's yeah, man, I used to be a manager, and then they come out, and then, man, the man came. Now, it's everybody's fault. Go in the HR department and look at his attendance record. He late every Friday. He don't come on Wednesdays. If he get paid, he definitely not coming to Monday after the Friday. He not counting any of that, but it's everybody else's fault. That's Israel. We're not going to take any responsibility for the actions that we have made. This is why there's an automatic part of inheritance. Then there's that part that Yahweh reserves the right because it's his. He may at any point say, you know what? This was the one who was going to receive it, but this one works harder. Switch that inheritance around. And that's going to upset some people. Romans chapter 9, and let's start that at verse 1.
I say the truth in the Mashiach, I lie not. My conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Spirit, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from the Mashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh.
My kinsmen according to the flesh, they are the same as I am. Go ahead.
Who are Israelites.
So my kinsmen, they are Israelites, which means so is he. Go ahead.
To whom pertaineth the adoption.
Now he's giving you the authority that Israel has. Go ahead.
And the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of Elohim, and the promises. Whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, the Mashiach came, who is over all, Elohim blessed forever. Amen.
All right. Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of Elohim, and of the promises. So when you deal with the authority, when you deal with the things that was given, it is falling on the Israelites, which is why the Israelites become infamous in the mouths of other individuals. And they can't wait to pick out a bad Israelite and hold us all responsible. Not once do you hear those same people go out and find a horrible Christian and attribute that horrible Christian to themselves. Because I guarantee you can find, if we go down to the Carroll County Jail, I guarantee you 95% of them Christian. But you don't find Christians holding all of them Christian thieves, robbers, rapists, and drug dealers. You don't find them holding themselves accountable for, their Christian thievery or whatever. You don't find any of that. But let something happen with us, and all of a sudden we're supposed to be an ambassador for everybody's wrong, who is an Israelite, while no other organization has to accept all the wrong from anybody who does something who just so happens to be in the same faith that they are. But that's something we're going to have to deal with, because when something happens with us, it is our God who is going to be blasphemed. And that's something that we just have to get over. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 2. First Peter chapter 2, and we're going to start that with verses 1 through 12.
Wherefore, laying aside all malice, and all guile, and hypocrisies, and envies, and all evil speakings, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby.
Right. Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and all hypocrisies and envies and all evil speaking, all it has to be is the right inheritance, and is this malice and guile and hypocrisy and envy, it'll go on for generations. Folks will even forget why they have a problem. But now they've gotten accustomed to having the problem, so they just keep the problem going. I don't like so-and-so. Why? You don't really know. Go ahead.
If so be you have tasted that the Adonai is gracious, to whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of Elohim and precious, you also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house, an holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Yahshua Hamashiach.
Right. You have to ask yourself, what are your spiritual sacrifices that you are offering up to Elohim? What have you sacrificed that would be dear unto you, that you offer unto your Elohim? See, the first thing we have is our time. Then you have to look back at what do we spend the most of our time on? What of that have you sacrificed for your Elohim? See, what some do is try to trick, their own mind and believe that that thing that they like to do, that they now doing it for Elohim. You got somebody who just like to work on cars. They say, I fix cars for the Lord. How the hell you do that? Did Yahshua pull up in a broke down car and you fixed it? Did you fix cars for the saints for free? How are you doing that for Yahweh? Don't mix your work with his work and call it his work.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believes on him shall not be confounded. Unto you therefore which believe he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner, and a stone of stumbling, and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed.
So then you have to look at that. Even to them which stumble at the word. You can't tell them that they are not incorrect. They stumble at the word, which then causes them to be disobedient. They're disobedient in the word because they stumble at the word. That's not how I see it. Whereunto, here's the deeper part, they were appointed. You have to look at something that Yahweh said, Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated. They hadn't done anything yet. Neither one of them. But their heart and spirit was there. And when you learn after situation and circumstance and time, you learn to look at something and how somebody operates, and you can see the spirit of something even before it manifests. Hindsight is always 20/20, but it takes some hindsight sometime for you to learn and have foresight for the next situation. See, that first time you let the dog walk up on you and he bites you, you gonna know every mannerism of that dog the second go round. You're like, no, that's how he looked last time he took a bite out of crime. Absolutely not. He's not gonna get that close to you that next time. Well, that's situation and circumstance. Those are the things that bring forth wisdom. Nobody wants to get bit, but everybody want to have wisdom. No, you got to get bit a few times to end up with wisdom. Wisdom is not the same as knowledge. Anybody who mama taught them their ABCs can read. That has absolutely nothing to do with knowledge. Please stop thinking that intelligent people are wise. They are not wise. That has absolutely nothing to do with wisdom. Wisdom means you got to get bit a few times. Go ahead, bro.
But you're a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, an holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light, which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of Elohim, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul.
The spirit and the flesh are adversaries of one another. For everything that the spirit is trying to use you to do, the flesh is trying to convince you to do the opposite. You know you're supposed to be at this place at this time. The flesh gonna tell you, why ain't you comfortable right now? I mean, you don't want to get out of bed. It's cold out there. Your flesh try to negotiate with you so that it can overpower the things that the spirit know you're supposed to be going to do. So you got the spirit on one side, you got the flesh on one side. At some point, we ought to come out in the parking lot and see you just going around in a circle. What are you doing? I'm trying to avoid this flesh on the left side. Because it keep trying to tell me to do something that I know I ain't got no business doing. So I'm trying not to pay it no attention. Go ahead.
Having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may by your good works.
They may by your good works. They're not just going to do that. They're going to do that because they behold what happens when you are in situations. But if we handle those situations wrong, how are they going to speak good about us? Go ahead.
Which they shall behold, glorify Elohim in the day of visitation.
They're not going to glorify Elohim today. They're going to glorify Elohim when they get visited. So that means you're putting in some pre-work for something that will be manifested later on. See, our problem is we keep trying to work today and get paid today. So that's how you know you're in a bad situation. See, I had a yard man that told me that he needed to have, half of the money by lunchtime. I need $200. Then he said, well, this for gas. I said, brother, gas ain't $200. I ain't never got $200 worth of gas. That's when you know you got a bad situation. I perceive that my yard man's a crackhead. You know what I'm saying? Because that's crackhead talk right there. When I need $200 before the end of the job, so I'm just gonna run up the street. Now you're not gonna cut my grass high. See, I know what this is. See, I can smell this right here. See, I know what this is. I done grew up in this. I know what this is. No. You need to just knock the edge off before you can finish the job. No, that ain't gonna work. That's why they can't keep no regular job. Because, you know what I'm saying, Walmart not letting you leave for a crack break. They don't have those, That's how you know that there's some situations. But it takes you going through some things to start witnessing something. And sometimes if you call it out too fast, then the other people around you didn't get an opportunity to witness it. And now they think it's just you making that decision. So even though there are some things that you may know, you have to sit back and let everybody around you catch up so that when the decision is made to open up the door and let them out, everybody's on the same page with you at that point. Go ahead.
Verse 19.
We're going to jump to 19.
For this is thankworthy, if a man for conscience toward Elohim endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what glory is it, if, when you be buffeted for your faults, you shall take it patiently?
You're supposed to take it patiently. It was your fault. You the one did the wrong. You don't get no pass for that. You don't get no extra credit for that. That was your wrong. Go ahead.
But if, when you do well and suffer for it, you take it patiently, this is acceptable with Elohim.
Now you have stored up treasures in heaven. See? But you have folks that they do wrong, then turn around and blame people. Oh, it's something you did. Well, so we're not going to have this conversation about the wickedness that you did that, started this whole situation. So rather than them accepting, or being buffeted for their own faults, they're going to throw it on somebody else. And then, even if you accept that, you still ain't getting no extra credit. You're supposed to deal with that. Go ahead.
For even hereunto were you called, because Yahshua also suffered for us, leaving us an example that you should follow his steps, who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth, who, when he was reviled not again.
And y'all know we can't do that. Y'all know that's some of the hardest stuff for us to do. Even when the brother was standing across the water hollering at King David, David didn't even want to go and deal with the man. But David's soldiers said, hey man, let me cross this water and go off there and take his head off. He said, no. Who knows? Yahweh might have told him to say it. But understand something when you deal with my Elohim. The same one that told him to say it is the same one that's going to deal with him for saying it. Because he knew something was in his heart when he wanted to say it. So Yahweh let him. What did he say? To the forward, he will show himself forward. So he sees the forwardness in that man's heart and spirit, so Yahweh eggs him on. Yeah, go ahead and tell him. Go tell him your mind. Right. And then afterward, Yahweh going to go and chop his head off and hand him his mind back to him. Go ahead.
When he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judges righteously, who his own self bare our sins in his own body on the tree, that we, being dead to sins, should live on to righteousness, by whose stripes you are healed.
Right. Who his own self bare our sins in his own body on the tree, as it is written, cursed that he that hangs on a tree. Why do you think that's been the punishment for only us? How many Jewish people you ever seen hanging on trees? Yahshua and us. That's it. And you have to wonder, why was that their thing to hang on a tree? Out of all the things, out of all the weaponry that people have developed over the years, why was your thing to hang a man on the tree? This was their thing. Yet they had all these fancy weapons, kept making more weapons. But you'd always resort back to the tree. You don't see other nations hanging from trees. There's one group of people who you see hanging from trees, to the point where we had to make songs about strange fruit that hang from trees. Go ahead.
Up to this day, we still the only ones being hung on trees.
Exactly. And then they try to, so that we don't riot. They say, oh, that person committed suicide. They committed suicide in the middle of Piedmont Park? So you mean tell me they didn't have no trees at their house? They went all the way down here, and how the hell they climbed? So they climbed up the tree, tied themselves up, and then jumped. I'm talking about some real Spider-Man from the... and then hung. Come on, man. Go ahead.
For you were as sheep going astray, but are now returned unto the shepherd and bishop of your souls.
So when we deal with that of first of all being this royal priesthood, this thing that was given unto Israel, you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. These are things that are supposed to describe us. Chosen generation, royal priesthood, holy nation, a peculiar people. We don't want to be peculiar. What we want to try to do is to fit in with all the rest of the nations. And just dealing with this royal priesthood, we have to remember what was written. And in the beginning, it was given unto us. In Exodus, it says, and you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Israel. It was given unto us from the beginning. You're going to be a kingdom of priests, not a tribe of priests. So automatically, it was already set that the priesthood was going to grow. That even the word that was given unto Israel was not to remain with Israel only. It was only to remain with Israel only for a time. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense for you to be a kingdom of priests. How you going to be a kingdom of priests if all you dealing with is you? We going to be a kingdom of priests over each other? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 9. Deuteronomy chapter 9, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Hear, O Israel, you are to pass over Jordan this day, to go in to possess nations greater and mightier than yourselves, cities great and fenced up to heaven, a people great and tall, the children of the Anakims.
Right. So you're going to go up here, O Israel. You are to pass over Jordan this day, go in to possess nation greater and mightier than yourself, cities great and fenced up to heaven, a people great and tall. These giants, some of these people who we going in here to go and remove them from the land. See, our inheritance is also their judgment. And Yahweh uses us to bring about the judgment on the people who have operated in a wrong fashion inside of his land. Go ahead.
Whom you knoweth, and of whom you have heard say, who can stand before the children of Anak. Understand therefore this day that Yahweh your El is he which goes over before you. As a consuming fire he shall destroy them, and he shall bring them down before your face. So shall you drive them out and destroy them quickly, as Yahweh had said unto you. Speak not you in your heart after that Yahweh your El has cast them out from before you, saying, for my righteousness Yahweh has brought me in to possess this land. But for the wickedness of these nations Yahweh does drive them out from before you.
Right. So don't brag and say it's because you're so righteous. Let us understand that that was the way then, and let us also understand that that is the way now. Don't think that Yahweh is about to do all this because we so righteous and holy. It's the exceeding wickedness of the people that's still in the land. Go ahead.
Not for your righteousness or for the uprightness of your heart does you go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations Yahweh your elders drive them out from before you, and that he may perform the word which Yahweh sware unto your fathers, Abraham, Esaac, and Jacob.
Right. So that means that we are then inheriting the promises that were made with individuals before us. We are inheriting the promises of Jacob, of Esaac, and of Abraham. Those promises were not made with us directly. We are inheriting those promises. Go ahead.
Understand therefore that Yahweh your El gives you not this good land to possess it for your righteousness, for you are a stiff-necked people.
Right. He knew his people from day one. Yahweh wasn't thrown off. He knew what manner of people he had. Go ahead.
Remember and forget not how you provoked Yahweh your El to wrath in the wilderness, from the day that you did depart out of the land of Egypt until you came onto this place. You have been rebellious against Yahweh. Also in Horeb you provoked Yahweh to wrath, so that Yahweh was angry with you to have destroyed you. When I was gone up into the mount to receive the tables of stone, even the tables of the covenant which Yahweh made with you, then I abode in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. I neither did eat bread nor drink water. And Yahweh delivered unto me 2 tables of stone written with the finger of El, and on them was written according to all the words which Yahweh spake with you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of the 40 days and 40 nights that Yahweh gave me the 2 tables of stone, even the tables of the covenant. And Yahweh said unto me, Arise, get you down quickly from hence, for your people which you have brought forth out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They are quickly turned aside out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten image.
Right. So in that small time, small separation, they have completely turned away from all the things that Yahweh has done unto them. We're talking about a little bit over a month time. Not even 2 full moon cycles. They back into Egypt in their hearts. Go ahead.
Furthermore, Yahweh spake unto me, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Let me alone, that I may destroy them, and blot out their name from under heaven.
Right. You have to consider that. When we get ready to have these Israelite pep rallies and do all of these things, remember that we was almost the 12 tribes of Moshe. And understand, Moshe ain't even an Israelite name. Remember, he got that name from Pharaoh's daughter. So we would have been 12 tribes of Egyptians. Now you can see how much confusion that would have caused. Go ahead.
And I'll make of you a nation mightier and greater than they. So I turned and came down from the mount, and the mount burnt with fire, and the 2 tables of the covenant were in my 2 hands.
This is, you have to always be careful when Israel get mad. Pay attention to what's in their hand. Because we have a tendency to throw whatever's in our hand when we get mad. If we holding a wrench, you might not want to talk to us at that point. Okay? Just word to the wise. Just understand your people. You got to say something and it look like it may be pretty deep. You might want to say, could you put the hammer down for a second? Why? Because I'm going to hold this piece of paper. Don't hold that hammer. Go ahead.
And I looked, and behold, you had sinned against Yahweh your El, and had made you a molten calf. You had turned aside quickly out of the way which Yahweh had commanded you.
Quickly. A month and some days. Go ahead.
And I took the 2 tables and cast them out of my 2 hands and brake them before your eyes.
Now, out of all the things that Moshe got kicked out of not allowed to go into the kingdom, you would have thought that this would have been one. This was made by Elohim, written with the finger of Elohim, and he threw them down on the ground and broke them. And Yahweh said nothing. You would have thought when you look at it for face value, you're like, well, all he did with the rock was he hit it. He broke this stone right here. He broke this rock. And it was written with the finger of Elohim. He didn't get kicked out. He didn't, get denied entry for that. That's why sometimes when you think on something, you're like, well, this looked worse than this. Yahweh never even mentioned that he did anything wrong. Matter of fact, by all accounts, Yahweh didn't look at it like he did it right, that he should have broken. Go ahead.
And I fell down before Yahweh, as at the first 40 days and 40 nights. I did neither eat bread nor drink water, because of all your sins which you sinned, in doing wickedly in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke him to anger. For I was afraid of the anger and hot displeasure, wherewith Yahweh was angry against you to destroy you. But Yahweh hearkened unto me at that time also. And Yahweh was very angry with Aaron to have destroyed him. And I prayed for Aaron also the same time.
Right, because he took part in this. He helped orchestrate the making of this Egyptian god and then present it to Israel as their God. Go ahead.
And I took your sin, the calf which you had made, and burnt it with fire, and stamped it, and ground it very small, even until it was as small as dust. And I cast the dust thereof into the brook that descended out of the mount. And at Taberah, and at Maasah, and at Kibroth Hattaavah, you provoked Yahweh to wrath. Likewise, when Yahweh sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, go up and possess the land which I have given you, then you rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh your El, and you believed him not, nor hearkened to his voice. You have been rebellious against Yahweh from the day that I knew you.
You have been rebellious against Yahweh from the day that I knew you. But Yahweh gets to a point where he starts dividing that line. Why do you think he says he's only going to save a remnant of the children of Israel? A whole lot of Israel come and say glory, praise Yah, hallelujah, all these things. Then when it come down to make them personal changes, they ain't nowhere to be found. They talk that talk. But when it's time to make them changes, they won't walk that walk. Go ahead.
Thus I fell down before Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights, as I fell down at the first, because Yahweh had said he would destroy you. I prayed therefore unto Yahweh, and said, O Adonai Yah, destroy not your people and your inheritance, which you have redeemed through your greatness, which you have brought forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand.
I prayed therefore unto Yahweh and said, O Adonai Elohim, destroy not your people and your inheritance, which you have redeemed through your greatness, which you have brought forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand. So when we present ourselves out in the world, we are presenting Yahweh's inheritance. Go ahead.
Remember your servants, Abraham, Esaac, and Jacob. Look not unto the stubbornness of this people, nor to their wickedness, nor to their sin. Lest the land whence you brought us out say, because Yahweh was not able to bring them into the land which he promised them, and because he hated them, he has brought them out to slay them in the wilderness.
Right. Then Yahweh gets a blot for not doing what he said he was going to do. Now then, they say, oh, his power not as great as they said it was. So now he comes into question because of your sin. Go ahead.
Yet they are your people and your inheritance, which you brought out by your mighty power and by your stretched out arm.
Yet they are your people and your inheritance. This is also what causes us to have the indignation of the nations, because of these very things. Is Israel all holy? No. Yet even Moshe, yeah, it's a stiff-necked and rebellious people. Yet they are your people and they are your inheritance. Well, that part angers the nations. Why you choose them? See, all we got to do, and this is how we justify going against something. We say, well, you know, it ain't perfect. You know, it made mistakes, so clearly we ain't got to do nothing else. It say do. That's what we look for. Because we have learned how corporate America deals with things. See, when the unarmed man gets shot, before they tell us anything, they want to tell you every bad thing that person has done. Why? So that they can justify the wrong that has happened unto him. And that's how we operate. But you see, none of that means anything to Yahweh. Did he not know who Israel was? Yeah, I know who you are. But you're going to make this change, or else I'm not bringing all y'all in. But he wasn't surprised. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4. Exodus chapter 4, and let's read verses 21 through 23.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, when you go to return into Egypt, see that you do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in your hand, but I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go.
Right. There may be situations that Yahweh is putting you in where he pushes you to speak to somebody. They're not going to listen to you. But that's not the point. The point is that you say these things so that they become chargeable unto Elohim. But if you think your job is only successful if that person repents, then you don't really understand the role of a servant. That's not your job. Your job was not to make them repent or be baptized or do. Your job was to go and speak the word. That's it. You may be speaking that word to their salvation, or you may be speaking that word to their damnation. It ain't up for you to decide. Go ahead.
You know, I just been mentioning that to our brother Harrell over there in Gambia, because he's over there with a Muslim majority. You know, and at one point he's like, you know, I'm going to take the kufi off because, you know, they keep thinking I'm Muslim. I said, no, that's your conversation piece. Keep it on. When they ask you, then you introduce them. He says, man, he'll talk to them and they'll be completely in agreement about, you know, being Israelites, Hebrew, everything. And then they go right back to, well, Muslim is the way. I said, brother, it's not for you to convert them.
Right.
From here on out, they can't say they never heard it.
Exactly. Exactly. And then the pressure that's put in. I was looking at a thing that was talking about a proposed unification of a few countries in Africa. And part of the things that causes the issue with creating a country is, first, you wouldn't even think about it, landscape and weather. Because if those people are not, if they don't have the same weather, it affects the culture, all right, and how they operate. But then what normally does this, and we've talked about this on several occasions when we speak about Christianity, a common religious belief is what holds a country together. So this is why Christianity was the perfect vehicle to use. Why? Because they took the outline of the book. They took the outline of this holy story, called it Christianity. But then they took every god from everyone who was conquered among the Gentiles. Every god had his day placed inside of Christian worship practices. So then that gave them the unified body to gather all these different people whom they had conquered together. So because some parts of Africa, depending on how they were invaded, there are some parts that are Christian, there's other parts that are Muslim. If you try to create a country along those lines, those countries are going to fight each other. That country will never be, established. But the ones that they are proposing just so happen to be predominantly Christian countries right beside each other. So then they can have a Confederate African Union whereby they can actually do some things, and most of those countries are within the same climate. It's something that you don't really think about. It says, because Africa is big, long, it's not big, wide. What does that mean? That means there's different climates in different parts of it. So if the country is big, wide, they can have more of the same climate because of the way that it's stretched out. But because Africa is big this way, they're going to have different climate zones going down the length of the continent. So this part of the continent does not have anything like the climate that the other part. Well, then that's going to affect culture. That's going to affect the things that happen. Imagine we're keeping Passover during this time of the year, during the time of growth. Imagine if you're in another part of the world and they don't have that growth at that time. How are they bringing the harvest? Go ahead.
Verse 22. And you shall say unto Pharaoh, thus says Yahweh, Israel is my son, even my firstborn.
Israel is my son, even my firstborn. So then you have this situation of who we are. When he says you are my inheritance, understand, when it is written, my people whom I have called, you are called by my name, understand, you have the inheritance and you were given the name Israel. You represent the son of Elohim. Go ahead.
And I say unto you, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if you refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay your son, even your firstborn.
All right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 21. Because you have done some things to my firstborn, I'm going to do some things to yours. So let's get into that a little bit. Deuteronomy chapter 21, and let's read verses 15 through 17.
If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated.
First question is, why does he have a wife that he hates? See, Yahweh take care of things before they happen. Go ahead.
And they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated.
Right. And we think we righteous if, we have all our kids in one place. It says he has kids by both of these women. Go ahead.
And if the firstborn son be hers that was hated.
So then Yahweh will already know, oh, you got a problem and an issue right here. I'm going to make sure that you have kids here first. So that you can't take their inheritance and give it to Keisha who you met down the street. Go ahead.
Then it shall be, when he makes his sons to inherit that which he has, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn.
Right. So you're going to take his inheritance because you hate his mom. That ain't right. Go ahead.
But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn, by giving him a double portion of all that he has, for he is the beginning of his strength, the right of the firstborn is his.
So the right of the firstborn is his. He receives a double portion. Now back that up and understand what Yahweh has done. He has a law that has something naturally. Then he has the things that are contained spiritually. Spiritually, Israel is the firstborn. So what happens? Israel is supposed to receive a double portion. But then he also gives you a law that is how you're supposed to deal with your children. All right, let's go to Revelation chapter 21.
You know, brother, that's a sad situation when, you know, you take your problems out on the children. Mm-hmm. You know, why are you going to hate that child because you and the mother got an issue?
Right.
You know, even with an Abraham situation, there's nothing that said Abraham hated Hagar, but Yahweh decided that Esaac is who's going to be the firstborn spiritual, right, because you couldn't wait on me.
Even though naturally there was a firstborn son. Mm-hmm. Yahweh said, no. This is how you see the intricacies of Yahweh. He said, this your firstborn. No, this is my firstborn. No, this your firstborn with her. See, this was your firstborn with her. That's the Egyptian. This is your firstborn with the princess. See, her name was Sarai. Her name shall be Sarah, which is princess. This is your first child with the princess. Go ahead, brother.
It's funny how he even said, take your son.
Your only son.
He already had one.
Uh-huh.
He said, take the only.
Right.
He didn't even recognize him as a son.
You know, it's different. He recognizes him as a son on one instance. When it comes down to inheritance, now give him some gifts and some stuff like that. and when you get right down to it, that's what he said, give him some gifts and then send them on. And that's what he did. Here you go. Here goes some stuff right here. I got Snicker bars in here. I got some Twix. You gonna love these Reese's Pieces, this kind with the crunch in it. Go ahead and now go over there. Don't be by my son. Cause see, I got a job for him, and you gonna mess that up if he keep hanging around you. So I'm gonna need you to go over there. That's how he dealt with that. Go ahead, brother.
Revelations chapter 21 and verse 1, pardon me. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away.
The first heaven and the first earth will pass away. Go ahead.
And there was no more sea. And I, Yohanan, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of Elohim is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them, and be their El. And Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I'll give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. He that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I'll be his El, and he shall be my son.
You have to work to get to this part. He that overcomes. And it's so amazing how you hear people read that, but they don't see when something comes in their life that they're supposed to overcome. But they'll read it over and over. He that overcomes, he that overcomes. Something show right up on their door. Who is it? Overcome? And they won't deal with it. But still keep reading about overcoming. He that endures to the end. What do you think that's about? You think that's just everybody else? No, you got some things you're going to have to overcome as well. Go ahead.
But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars.
All liars, not white liars, not black liars. See, we have been convinced that a white lie is a good lie. Why did he even say all liars? Why didn't he just say liars? Why is all there? Go ahead.
Shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.
Right. So let's now go back to Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 4. Because we have to deal with this part. I see a new heaven and a new earth here. So let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 4. And let's read verses 23 through 27.
Verse 23. Take heed unto yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of Yahweh your El, which he made with you, and make you a graven image, or the likeness of anything which Yahweh your El has forbidden you.
So he already knows that Israel has a problem with graven images. Okay? So the warning is already being given for the next generation. Y'all have a problem. Grant?
For Yahweh your Elohim is a consuming fire, even a jealous Elohim.
He is a jealous Elohim. So the things that he witnessed us put all our time and energy in, understand, he watches that. We pick up the Bible for 10 minutes, but we done had our Kung Fu manual open for 7 hours. We done had how to rewire the dashboard book open for 12 hours. Remember, you're jealous Elohim. But we have been convinced that jealousy is an emotion of a woman. Go ahead, bro.
When you shall beget children, and children's children, and you shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves, and make a graven image, or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of Yahweh your El, to provoke him to anger. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that you shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto you go over you are to possess it.
You know, it's certain ways you just have to look at something and it should just bring forth a question. You know, yeah, there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. You are the inheritance. Heaven and earth was called to witness against you. Heaven and earth gonna die. It testified against you. Sometimes we don't even consider the power that we have in Yahweh. But that could cause your right to be exceedingly right, and it could cause your wrong to be exceedingly wrong. Go ahead.
You shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the nations, and you shall be left few in number among the heathen, whether Yahweh shall lead you.
In other words, I'm going to make you be a so-called minority. What does that mean? I'm going to scatter you, but I'm not going to put all y'all in one place because y'all going to take, because that's what y'all do. See, y'all going to take over the place if I put all y'all in one place. So I'm going to spread you out. I'm going to scatter. That's what scatter means. So there's many places, but this in itself proves that the people in Israel could not be the descendants of the ancient Israelites. He is not going to put you in one place because he knows that we have a certain amount of power, that if he put us all in one place, we were going to take over that place. I'm going to scatter you where you shall be few in number. So I'm going to scatter you here, but you won't overtake these people. Then I'm going to put you here, 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 here. If he just went and put all of us in one place, that place was going to be doomed. We were going to turn that place inside out, Jack. Even being so-called minorities, they had a hard time dealing with us. Imagine if all the South American brothers was here with us. Done deal. We'd been taking over this place. White House have basketball goal in the front. It'd be all You know, hey, they be serving Kool-Aid at the door, everything. That's gonna be ours, baby. We've been took this. Yahweh, no, I'm not putting all them in one place. This is supposed to be a punishment. How it gonna be a punishment if I let them take it over? Go ahead.
What they say, one of us move in the neighborhood, there goes the neighborhood.
Hey. Now they finna start working on cars in the front.
They gonna take it over.
Jay got that working out in the front yard. What are you doing? Why are you ain't, everybody else in here got a weight room, bro. Why you got your weights in the front? Go ahead, man.
That was it.
That was it right there. Let's go to Genesis chapter 26. As it is written, it says, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. So then when we deal with that inheritance, we have to consider that it is a great inheritance that has been proposed to us. But you're not just going to haphazardly get this inheritance. See, you're going to have to do something to receive this inheritance. Genesis chapter 26, and we're going to read verses 1 through 5.
And there was a famine in the land, beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Esaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And Yahweh appeared unto him, and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell you of. Sojourn in this land, and I'll be with you, and I will bless you. For unto you and unto your seed I will give all these countries, and I'll perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham your father.
I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham your father. So now you have the one son who is now inheriting the promise that was given unto his father. This is how, when people commit great atrocities, their kids end up inheriting the evil that they have put forth on the earth. Go ahead.
And I'll make your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and I'll give unto your seed all these countries, and in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws.
And I will make your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven. And I will give unto your seed all these countries, and in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. So through Israel's inheritance, the rest of the nations are going to be blessed. Why? Because everything begins with Israel, which is what the adversary and his people want to wipe away. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 25. Deuteronomy chapter 25, and we're going to read verses 5 through 10.
Verse 5. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her.
Now, when you consider that this is the culture that Yahweh has given unto us, basically, once the woman marries into a family, she stays in that family. And to us, that is a strange concept. But you got to understand the connections that have been made within that family. That means that if the way we do things, you have one woman that might have kids by different individuals. That won't be possible in our culture. Because the next person she married going to be in that family somewhere. She's not going outside that family. Now understand how that tightens the family connection. See, that's something we don't even think about. See, we look at the law in one aspect. That's not how Yahweh looking at it. Once that woman marry in that family, she in that family. It's a done deal. He died, she married somebody else in that family. He died, she married somebody else in that family. That one died, she married somebody else in that family. Nowadays, we call that woman all kind of names. Go ahead.
And it shall be that the firstborn which she bears shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. And if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders.
Understand something. The law don't care nothing about what your other situation is. Verse 7, and if the man like not to take his brother's wife. What if he said, I already got a wife, I already got a family. I don't care nothing about what you got. You finna raise up seed for your brother. See, when you understand that, then you are more involved in them situations. When your brother say, I'm finna marry her, wait a minute now, okay. If you die, then I'm he. So, I'm gonna need you to take care of yourself. Because I don't want to be bothered with this here. I'm gonna need you. Every time your brother call you, man, I'm stuck. I'm on my way to come get you. I'll be there in a minute. Baby, I thought you said you were tired. I was tired, but I need to make sure it don't happen to him. Go ahead.
Then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders and say, my husband's brother refused to raise unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother.
The duty of the husband's brother. Go ahead.
Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak unto him. And if he stand to it and say, I like not to take her, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders.
In the presence of the elders.
And loose his shoe from off his foot. And spit in his face.
Spit in his face.
And shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's house. And his name shall be called in Israel, the house of him that has his shoe loosed.
Right. So then you have to wonder what happens. And his name, and we look at this and we say, and his name shall be called in Israel, the house of him that has his shoe loosed. And we say, oh, that's it. But here's the issue. Whenever you get ready to deal in something else, and they say, what you want to do? Well, you know, I want to buy this land. I want to do such and such. Ain't you him that has his shoe loose? Oh, no, we don't deal business with them kind of people. Now, this now follows you throughout every piece of business that you try to do. Because now you don't seem trustworthy. Nobody want to do business with you. Well, I wanted to buy this house. No, I don't want to sell the house to you because I just feel like something going to happen wrong because you from the house of him that had his shoe loosed. You don't take care of your responsibilities. I'm not, no. Then that follows your kid. Your kid said, I love this woman. Can you pay the dowry so that I can get this woman? And then you show up with the money and they said, oh, no. See, now, I know your kid ain't done nothing wrong, but he done learned from him who has his shoe loosed. Now you got the kids, but Daddy, I love him. And he said, and I love her. He don't know how to tie his shoes. They got bad teachings over there. No, baby, pick you up somebody else. Go ahead, bro.
That was it.
That was it right there. Let's go to, that was
Deuteronomy 20.
Deuteronomy. Let's go to Genesis chapter 38. Genesis chapter 38, and let's read verses 1 through 10.
And it came to pass at that time that Yehudah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adullamite whose name was Hira. And Yehudah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua. And he took her and went in unto her. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan.
Now, understand, to even begin this whole thing, Yehudah has saw a Canaanite. Now, we were already given instructions on how we were supposed to deal with the Canaanites. Israel was supposed to was going to be called Canaan land. So you have to consider these things going forward and what they would ultimately mean anyway in dealing with a Canaanite. Go ahead.
And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chezib when she bare him. And Yehudah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar.
And when you see these things, when it says, and Yehudah took a wife for his firstborn, a lot of times it is the father who's coming to pay the dowry for his son to marry this young woman. So you read here, and Yehudah took a wife for No, when he took a wife, you know what I'm saying, don't think he just, she hid in the bushes at night and he just went and took this little girl. You see that? You see what I done took for you? No. When he took her, he paid. Understand what's happening? So the daddy is working up and stacking up money and possessions so that he may be able to get a suitable bride for his son. Now, this culture is so twisted. They have it to where the father of the woman is supposed to pay for the wedding. They even got a commercial where the one guy has paid for one daughter's wedding, and then they talked about, his financial planning and all of this, and is he ready to do this at least 2 or 3 more times? Then his other 3 daughters or 2 or 3 daughters show up. So he's supposed to pay each time he loses a daughter. Now something is being taken out of his house and he paying. That already sounds like is wickedness. You got to understand that the culture in this book goes absolutely opposite. The man who's bringing forth the son who's taking something out of somebody's house, you're the one that's got to bring something. The man don't lose a daughter and pay for you to take his daughter. What you taking, Cruella de Vil? He got to pay you to take her. Here goes some money, take her. She been getting on my nerves since she got here. No. Go ahead.
And Yehudah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of Yahweh, and Yahweh slew him. And Yehudah said unto Onan,
he was wicked. Now understand, this is also our thing where we like to mix cultures. You have this Israelite who goes in unto a Canaanite. Yahweh said he was wicked. What happened when you merge those ways? We don't consider that. All we think about, well, they're going to have some pretty hair. What else they going to have? And how are you going to direct that? That's also our problem. We don't try to teach around it. Hey man, you know that these people right here like setting things on fire. You then procreated with these individuals. You might want to teach your kids a lot about, a fire marshal bill or smoking or something. You might want to understand something. You know that you are procreating from a place that has an issue. How do you not deal with that issue? You know you dealing with a woman or a man and the whole family drunks. Y'all gonna have to have that alcohol talk. You can't not just raise this kid and you don't tell this kid nothing about alcohol or nothing. Hey, you come from this line of people who have drinking issues. Let me explain some things to you. Otherwise, you don't say nothing to them, and then they get their first taste of alcohol, and they hit the roof. He's like, I don't know why it made me feel like that. Oh, that's in your genes. What? It would help for them to know that beforehand. Because see, the scripture says, there are some that get up in the morning and drink wine, and then drink wine all day until wine inflames them. Then they turn into something altogether different by the end of the day. They totally different from the beginning of the day than the end of the day. Why? Because they are totally inflamed. it would do them some service for you to let them know, hey, this is what's dancing around in your gene pool. And don't get it twisted. All of us got some things dancing around in the gene pool. Don't get it twisted. See, I was warned about mine. I know I came from an alcoholic. But I was also given the alcoholic talk. So I take 2 drinks and walk away. They say, you're not going to drink this week, son? Nah. I drank maybe 2 more weeks. So why you do that? Because he's the product of an alcoholic. Some people don't know that. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And Yehuda said unto Onan, go in unto your brother's wife and marry her and raise up seed to your brother.
Now understand, this is Genesis, this is before the law. So this is culture here, all right? Go in and marry your brother's wife and raise up seed. This is Genesis. Ain't no law here yet. We ain't received no law. So this is the law of all the land. Other cultures operate like this. It ain't just the Israelites that's supposed to do this. You go to places in Africa and they got the same concept. And they didn't get it out of the Bible. Go ahead.
And when you look at it, you see who's putting forth this is his father telling him, hey, bro, take care of this business.
Right. This is culture. Go ahead.
And Onan knew that the seed should not be his.
Uh-oh.
And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother.
Right. And Yahweh didn't like it, and we know what it was. Okay? Go ahead.
And the thing which he did displeased Yahweh, wherefore he slew him also.
Right. Yahweh killed him. You supposed to raise up seed to your brother. You gonna lay with the woman, but then still spill your seed on the ground? Kill him. You have to look at something in how things are dealt with. You know, we often hear, you know, how Yahshua is spoken of as the lion of the tribe of Yehuda. We understand that Yehuda is where the kings come from. But you have to also understand something, that lions operate like the kings of men. They kill each other for the throne. Then they must execute the offspring of the previous king, as he becomes a threat to the current throne, because he is the son of a king. When a lion takes over a pride, he kills all the offspring that are not his. When we take over a house, we won't kill the offspring. We just won't pay them any attention. So in other words, we just kill them off spiritually. Let's go to Matthew chapter 1. See, the one thing I knew growing up, and apparently everybody wasn't told that, when you marry a woman that has kids, those kids yours too. I had a friend that told me, you know, yeah, man, I was talking to this girl at work, and then, you know, man, we've been talking a lot, man. I like her a lot. Then she said something to me about a kid. I had to let her right away. You know, hey, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's your kid. I said, I hope you got everything from her house. He said, what you talking about? I said, you and her shall never speak again. She spoke to him about 2 or 3 times, but it was only technicalities. It took about 2-3 weeks. He was like, yeah, you're right. I said, I told you. Take it from a man who was raised by a single woman until my stepdaddy came into the picture. And if it wasn't nobody that was worth dealing with her son, she didn't even bring him into the picture. They might have been around, but I didn't see them. They had to meet at Hardee's or something. I don't know. All I know, she kept coming home with biscuits. Where you get these biscuits? Yeah. No, there wasn't nobody I'm bringing to the house. See, people don't operate like that no more. See? We just have anybody and everybody around our people. They didn't do that back then. Matthew chapter 1. And let's start at verse 18.
Now the birth of Yahshua Hamashiach was on this wise. When as his mother Miriam was espoused to Yosef, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Spirit.
Before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Spirit. Now this is one of these serious problems in any relationship. Go ahead.
Then Yosef, her husband, being a just man, not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privately.
So you understand what's happening there. Understand how we operate. We know that we have clean and unclean, right? We know that there's going to be times we have to orchestrate everything we do, from the media department to the kitchen. You have to orchestrate around when a woman is going to be out. It don't take a mental genius to figure out, sister, you've been here for 3 months straight. It must be something. It's got to be a bun in the oven or something. Why are you here? Real easy to figure that out. So here go this man. This is a woman that he has not been with physically. And ain't no unclean situation showed up. Oh, we got a problem here. Because we ain't did nothing. This is why he's up to the point, even being angry, and you know he's angry. He's going to privately put her away. Just the fact that that's how he dealt with that, you understand why Yahweh chose him to be a father to a son that he would not actually father. So understand, Yahweh is picking a man to be a man over a house, over a child that he did not father. And all his changes happen about this child. He got to move here. He got to go there. He got to provide a strength for this. He got to protect this. All this is about a child that he himself did not father. Go ahead.
But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Adonai appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Yosef, you son of David, fear not to take unto you Miriam your wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit.
Now, while he thought on these things, so he's meditating upon it. He's toiling. What if he had already just made the decision as soon as he found out she was pregnant? What if he had already, gave her a stick and a handkerchief and told her to walk Jerusalem highway? Then the angel come to you. Now you running down Jerusalem highway trying to figure out where she at. Right. Go ahead.
And she shall bring forth a son, and you shall call his name Yahshua.
Now wait a minute. She shall bring forth a son, and you shall call his name. You got me naming kids that ain't mine? Go ahead.
But you see off the rip, he's put into the situation to be a part of the situation. Because on the flip side, you'll have a woman with a child, get with a man, but you can't say nothing to him.
Right.
Why am I here?
Exactly. And that's one of the things. Don't discipline my baby now. And that's why the kid grew up to be rotten. Because the kid learned to play both ends against the middle. I know, her husband don't want me to have no ice cream. But I'm going to get that ice cream. Right. He's taking care of this. He has authority. You shall name him. And understand, during this time, understanding that he didn't father this child, she know not to go in there and question him about what he need to do with that child. He's doing all this. But see, we kind of funny. We as men have a tendency to not put in that kind of effort when it's not a child that we fathered. But what if Yahweh called you to do that? See, it wasn't my biological. When I first got my heart broken, I went to crying. It was my stepdad who let me cry on his shoulder. When I got my first car, it was my stepdad, a man who did not father me. When my little jalopy broke down, it was him out there 2 o'clock in the morning in the cold, working on my car. I would go out there and give him a sandwich or something. But it was just too damn cold out there. Go ahead, bro.
You know, at the end of the day, no matter how much you read this story, Yahshua is always referred to as the son of Yosef.
Uh-huh.
So that means at some point he didn't tell anybody.
Hey, it wasn't important. It wasn't important. He assumed the role and the job. This is what I try to explain to brother. The woman and the kids is a package deal. You ain't gonna get one without the other. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you feel. I don't care what you believe. Those are a package deal. They go hand in hand. Understand that. Go ahead.
For he shall save his people from their sins. Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Adonai by the prophet, saying, Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is Elohim with us. Then Yosef, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Adonai had bidden him, and took unto him his wife, and knew her not.
And this is the powerful part. See, we also have a problem taking care of situations when we're not getting any happy time. He knew her not till she had brought forth her firstborn son. So he's going through all these changes. He is taking on all the duties of a husband. He's taking on all the duties of a father. Yet, he has not consummated their marriage. We do exactly the opposite. We will consummate, but won't take care of nothing. That's a problem. But what if Yahweh leads you to do this? If we talk about works, we take works as, I'm going to work in the media department. I'm going to work in the kitchen. What if this is the work that he give you? Say, yeah, this your work. I need you to go take care of this kid right here. What? We take it for granted that when somebody is invited into the kingdom, that because they're kids, that Yahweh's going to call that whole family. No. Yahweh might open the door and say, I want that kid and that kid. What you think, the kids going to raise themselves? No. Somebody going to have to take them kids. Let's go to Ruth chapter 4. Go ahead, bro.
I'm just going to say, from a culture standpoint, you know, this could have went many different ways. Her father could say, excuse me, where's my daughter's token of virginity? She's pregnant.
Right. A whole lot could have been, could have jumped off right there. You right about that, brother. But him being a just man and not willing to make her a public example. Let's go to Ruth chapter 4, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Verse 1. Then went Boaz up to the gate, and sat him down there. And, behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz spake came by, unto whom he said, Ho, such a one, turn aside, sit down here. And he turned aside and sat down.
Right, so then what we have here is a situation where there is a woman who is married to a man. This man is then deceased. She then, instead of going her own way in the country of where they were, she followed her mother-in-law, and now she has come into her husband's family area, and now for her to stay in that family, she must be married from someone into that family. But now there are no more brothers. So now, according to the law, it says a husband's brother. Well, there ain't no brother. Now they got to find the next of kin who she is supposed to marry. Go ahead.
And he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, sit you down here. And they sat down. And he said unto the kinsman, Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, sells a parcel of land, which was our brother Elimelech's. And I thought to advertise you, saying, buy it before the inhabitants and before the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, redeem it. But if you will not redeem it, then tell me, that I may know. For there is none to redeem it besides you, and I'm after you. And he said, I'll redeem it.
He said, you and I am after you. So he's dealing with this as far as the land goes, but the land of those men also comes with the woman that's left over there. So all that go together. Now, Boaz really want the woman, but he not saying anything about the woman. He's saying about the land. So the man like, oh yeah, I got bread. I can buy the land, well, no doubt. I got it. And if all the mean I'm the next in line, I buy it. Go ahead.
Then said Boaz, what day you buy the field of the hand of Naomi?
You see, here's that. But wait, there's more. See? So he knew how to deliver this, all right? But wait. Go ahead.
You must buy it also of Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
And the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself.
See, when it was just buying the land, he was fine. Oh, but understand, you have to also marry the woman and bring up seed. Now, this shows you that he already has a family with children, and he's considering how he's going to have to change his inheritance when another child comes. Go ahead.
Least I mar my own inheritance.
Least I mar my own inheritance. I done already told these kids what they're going to get. I done already separated this among these kids. I get another kid, the division going to have to change. Go ahead.
Redeem you my right to yourself, for I cannot redeem it. Now this was the manner in former time in Israel concerning redeeming and concerning changing, for to confirm all things, a man plucked off his shoe.
A man plucked off his shoe. He didn't have his shoe loosed. You see the difference? See, the one who had his shoe loosed, he wouldn't perform it. This one, they are making an agreement for somebody else to perform it. Go ahead.
And gave it to his neighbor. And this was a testimony in Israel. Therefore the kinsman said unto Boaz, buy it for you. So he drew off his shoe. And Boaz said unto the elders and unto all the people, you are witnesses this day that I bought all that was Elimelech's and all that was Chelion's and Mahlon's off the hand of Naomi.
Right, so that he can't come back later on and say, you know, this land and this woman should have been mine. Go ahead.
Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren, and from the gate of his place. You are witnesses this day. And all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, we are witnesses. Yahweh make the woman that is to come into the house like Rachel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Israel, and do you worthily in Ephratah, and be famous in Bethlehem. And let your house be like the house of Pharez, whom Tamar bare unto Yehudah, of the seed which Yahweh shall give you of this young woman. So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went in unto her, Yahweh gave her conception, and she bare a son. And the women said unto Naomi, blessed be Yahweh, which has not left you this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. And he shall be unto you a restorer of your life, and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law, which loves you, which is better to you than 7 sons, has borne him. And Naomi took the child, and laid it in her bosom, and became nurse unto it. And the women, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, there's a son born to Naomi, and they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David.
He is the father of Yessi, the father of David. So understanding how David came to be out of this story, out of the Moabitess who was married unto a man of Israel, but then stayed in that family. So we not only see the culture here as far as the law, you see the execution of that culture written in this book. So these things that we may have in our head, a whole lot of those things are going to have to leave out of our head so that we can deal with this culture according to the way that it is written. Let's go to Revelation chapter 7. And these things have significance when you're talking about inheritance. See, will you be standing up, denying somebody's inheritance because you don't understand certain aspects of the law? Will you then try to deny this person and say, no, they don't have the right to such and such because you don't understand certain issues of the law? Revelation chapter 7, and let's start that at verse 1.
And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living El. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Elohim in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
Jump to verse 9.
And after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, and kindreds, and people, and languages, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, and palms in their hands. And I cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our Elohim, which sits upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders, and the 4 beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worshipped Elohim, saying, Amen. Blessing, and glory, and wisdom, and thanksgiving, and honor, and power, and might be unto our Elohim forever and ever. Amen. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes? And whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, you knoweth. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb.
Right. So then they are now, because of the things that they have gone through, they are now a part of the inheritance. Go ahead.
You know, this question here shows you need to know when it's a rhetorical question. He's like, no, you know.
Right.
Therefore are they before the throne of Elohim, and serve him day and night in his temple. And he that sits on the throne shall dwell among them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them unto living fountains of waters. And Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes.
Right. So then you have the sons that are there because of their ancestry lineage. But then you have the sons who will be allowed because of their covenant of sacrifice and the decisions that they have made, the works that they have put forth. So it's not all about just being the natural descendants of Israel, because even the natural descendants of Israel, 2/3 of those are going to get cut off. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Galatians chapter 4. Galatians chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 7.
Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differs nothing from a servant, though he be master of all.
Though he be master of all, but he's still a child. In our infancy as a nation, there wasn't but so much that we can do. We had to still walk in just the line of a servant, and that's it. But when it comes time to receive your inheritance, things must change. Go ahead.
But is under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the Father. Even so we, when we were children, were in bondage unto the elements of the world. But when the fullness of the time was come, Elohim sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons.
That we might receive the adoption of sons, as it is written, where have these come from? Seeing that I have lost my own children, where have these children come from? When Yahweh gets ready to pick, those things that he's going to use, he operates in his timing. You have to consider, just look at a situation like Yohanan. Look at his parents who were older people, and then all of a sudden they're given this child. That all of a sudden somebody show up, your prayers have been answered. What prayers? Two of them prayers I made 32 years ago. But you have to also see the blessing in that. As much as Yohanan was going to have to do, and the suffering that he was going to go through, you can kind of look at Yahweh having a blessing that they would be older when they have this kid, that they wouldn't have to sit there and watch that kid suffer. Because that kid was born for a purpose. He was born for a purpose to come before Yahshua. But there's some suffering in that. So you got to think, hey, it's high probability that they're not around to witness all of these things, being that they were already of age when he was born. Then you have Yahweh that does not allow Yahshua to get this baptism till 30. And Yohanan was 6 months older than him. So there's certain things that is blessing and even the timing, but we don't really see that. Go ahead.
And because you are sons, Elohim hath sent forth the Spirit of his Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father.
And because you are sons, Elohim have sent forth the Spirit of his sons into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. Go ahead.
Wherefore you are no more a servant, but a son.
You are no more a servant, but a son now. You're no more a servant, but now a son. Have you served enough to be a son? Go ahead.
And if a son, then an heir of Elohim through the Mashiach.
All right. So you are a servant, then a son, then you receive your inheritance. Have you been a servant not just long enough, but diligent enough to be a son and therefore entitled to the inheritance? Go ahead.
That was it.
That was it. Yeah. So, wherefore, verse 7, wherefore you are no more a servant, but a son, and if a son, then the heir of Elohim through the Mashiach. So then our inheritance comes through somebody else, through the Mashiach. In each one of these inheritance, it is a situation where something is being handed down to another generation because of the work of the generation before it. What are we going to spiritually leave unto our children? What are we going to spiritually leave for the next generation? The one thing we know we can leave, the next generation won't be starting from where we started from. We started from nothing, not understanding that Sunday wasn't the Sabbath. This generation shouldn't be starting from that. So that also means that Yahweh is expecting a different level from this next generation. Y'all didn't start from where we started from. So just getting to where we got is not acceptable. You're going to have to do better than this. Because you're starting from this. We started from nothing. But you're starting from this. So you got to have better than this. This is acceptable for us because we started with nothing. We started in the backyard. This is not going to be acceptable for you. You got, as it is written, greater works than these shall you do. Well, your greater works, servants who shall become sons. And if sons, then heirs. That's all that we're going to do for today. I also wanted to make sure that for all of our viewers and our family that's spread out, please make sure that you are subscribed, that you're hitting the bell for the notification, and that you are liking the videos. They are starting to not give, let you know when these videos come on. So you got to have some traffic so that you are receiving a notification every time we do put out something. So make sure you're clicking the like button, make sure you're clicking those things, because we have gotten word that multiple people who are subscribed still are not getting notifications when videos come out. So y'all know how they play the game, okay? You go and type in Hebrew and you're gonna get a sea of purple, because these are all the people that you shouldn't be listening to. But when it comes down to something that you should be listening to, you're gonna have to look deep and hard for those things. Also understand that we have some things coming up, of course. Passover, first day of Feast of Unleavened Bread, and first fruits. We do understand that coming up, you must sanctify yourself against the third day. We are making our appearance on Saturday night. So that means we are doing Passover, which will be Thursday night. Feast of Unleavened Bread will be Friday night. Then, of course, we'll have our regular Sabbath. Then, Saturday night, we will have Feast of First Fruits, where we make our appearance. So we got a very busy weekend coming up. All right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Saturday night. All right? So we have 4 convocations coming up. So all y'all that have a problem staying awake, y'all need to go on and sleep for a couple days. All right? Oh, your cleaning should be done by unleavened bread. A lot of times we try to have that done by Passover, but it is unleavened bread that all your cleaning should be complete by. So understand what we have coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the day, and Saturday at night. It's going to be a lot of things back to back to back. So I advise you to go ahead and get your little nap on, get yourself ready, because the holy days are beautiful, but they are tiring as well. All right? So that's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.